Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one was sent in by Skully. It's a cool one. It's a pretty cool one. He's playing Vampire Coast with a pretty different army from ones I've seen in this matchup. He's against the Tomb Kings. So here you can see he's got two Mourngul Haunters. So obviously they stalk, very scary. They can just slip in and cause some problems wherever they like. He also has two Carronades, really good for trying to snipe out some Ushabti early. Ushabti, it can be a real problem here, especially when you bring units like no, not like them. Not like the Deckhounds mob. No, like Depth Guard. Depth Guard are just too valuable to be shot down. They can do so much work in melee if they can get in unaccosted. But if ranged fire focuses them down, they will die so fast. You know, especially things like Ushabti. So you really want something to deal with them. So there are the two cannons. Obviously all of this stuff is hidden at the moment, which is definitely wise. You don't want them taking damage before the Carronades can soften up what might hurt them. Also, Count Noctilus is here. He's also hidden. He's got Roth's Moondial, and he can summon his own other zombies too, at slightly less range than the Moondial can, of course. That thing is ridiculous. But he's also got Invocation to Heck, which is very nice, and he has the Wraithstorm for doing some extra damage to things for free, which is nice. He's also got the Lamprey's Revenge. These guys with their armor piercing, really good for bogging down constructs and keeping them pinned in, which is very handy. And they've also got some guns as well, and they can do some good damage with you know, with their missile damage too. So they're very useful. But that heavy armor is super nice to have, because apart from things like halberds and constructs and things, it's very difficult to kill them, and it's very rare you're going to see something like a Necrosphinx or something on the battlefield, because it's very expensive and gets shot down, you know, so you don't want to bring it. You don't want to risk something like that, which means Lamprey's Revenge have less to worry about. Ushabti will still hurt them though, but they are hidden. They are hidden too. Also, there are a ton of polearms dotted around. Polearms are just great. They have such high mass. They are so difficult to run through with things like chariots that really should be great in a matchup like this, but they're just not. So these guys will hold out for a long time. So you can see the Carronades are firing. They are firing into these Ushabti. So there's Ushabti with great bows, 2 units of them, and also the Chosen of the Gods. So that is a lot of punishment that the Depth Guard could suffer, and that's going to be very cost effective. And all of these skeleton warriors and skeleton spearmen, they can beat all the zombies pretty happily. You know, one-on-one, they will win eventually. It'll take a while, because neither are very good at killing anything, but the skeletons will win out eventually. Also, you can see Tomb Guards with halberds in the back. And there's also King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. Having that poison is very handy. Also, you can see here Arcan the Black. So he's got Spirit Leech, and that's it. He's just got Spirit Leech, and then his abilities. So he's just going to be trying to focus down Lords and Heroes with that Spirit Leech, which isn't a bad idea. Isn't a bad idea. You definitely want something that can deal with those kinds of units, because, yeah, I mean, Noctilus is such a pain to kill. He really is. So getting rid of him is nice. There's also a couple of archers, which will help kill the zombies a lot faster. You know, there's unarmored targets, but again, just because of the lack of shields, they will still make a dent in Depth Guard, so it's very nice to have them too. So, pretty cool army. I like this. And the Carrion, very nice for dealing with artillery, because he knows that in a duel, Ushabti aren't great at, you know, fighting against cannons. They're not the best at that. It's not very cost effective. So having the Carrion to bog down any artillery is very handy indeed. So, speeding things up. So you can see some more zombies are pushing out, just to funnel the units in. These guys will be able to bog things down for a while in the back, which will let the Carronades do their job. So that's very nice, and you can see they're doing a pretty good job here. These Ushabti are really struggling. The Mongols, they're moving out around the side so they can jump into the back line whenever they like. Unfortunately though, these Depth Guard have been spotted, and now would be a great time for these guys to ignore the cannons that are getting bogged down by the Carrion and just focus down these Depth Guard now. Just go for them straight away. You know, one volley from each of them and that's half the Depth Guard gone, and you can rest easy. But no, he's still trying to focus on these cannons. He's not letting the Carrion do the work, and the Carrion are actually taking a lot of damage from this as well. It's better just to let the Carrion do it. The Carrion are very good at this. Let them carry on. Yeah, that's right, I made a joke. So here you can see the Mongols are charging in. They're anti-infantry, and I mean, it's not really going to help against the Ushabti, but they are armor piercing. The Ushabti don't have the best melee defense, so Mourngul Haunters will still do fine with that 50 melee attack and that armor piercing. And because they can slip in and out of fights, they can't get bogged down very easily by all this infantry, so which means they can keep chasing these Ushabti and keep landing some good hits on them. Because yeah, none of this infantry is going to really stop them. They're just going to be able to run out of those fights. So over here you can see quite a lot of damage. into these depth guard already from all the archers, but they've already got 94 kills, which is ludicrous. They are hacking through the skeleton warriors like they're butter. It's amazing. Also, these ones, they're doing a pretty good job too. 50 kills. They only just got to the fight though, and they're not getting shot. So there is that. Invocation to heck, because the hunger is not healing them up quick enough to deal with all this missile damage. But the Ushabti, they're trying to deal with things in the back line. You know, they're not shooting into the depth guard like they should. All these depth guard, they really need to be. Lamprey's Revenge are charging in, and yep, zombie deckhands mob, they're getting beaten by the skeletons, but the Lamprey's Revenge are obviously going to win that for them. So that's very nice. A ton of other zombies being summoned all over the place because of Noctilus, who is charged right in. With his armor piercing and anti-large, he's going to be great for killing Ushabti. So they're getting bogged down and chased around by all the Morngulls, and there's not really a good place for them to retreat to. It's very difficult, but they do outnumber things. Noctilus can be bogged down by the infantry, and these guys can split up a bit, but they really need to be doing damage to the back line, because at some point the Morngulls are just going to have to fight all these spearmen and tomb guard, and they're not going to like that. You know, they're not going to like that, but none of this infantry is going to hold off the depth guard. So you've got to get the Ushabti on the depth guard to wipe them out so the infantry can win you the fight. That's what the Tomb Kings have to do here. Also, Arcan, yeah, he's great for summoning more bodies around the place to keep things bogged down, and that Spirit Leech will help him a lot. It'll help him do some good work here. You can see there's a Spirit Leech on Noctilus right now, and that's going to get into his healing cap very fast. He is fighting a lot of armor-piercing units here, and that is going to make him struggle a bit. So Mongol's still causing so many problems in the back here. Unfortunately, this one has been surrounded by spearmen. He is still on the Ushabti, but he's still surrounded by things that are going to kill him pretty easily. He's only got 50 armor, so he doesn't want to be fighting spears, really. Not really. So they're going to keep fighting. In the front line, you can see these depth guard have finally crumbled. They had about 200 kills, so they did pretty well. They did pretty well. You know, not half bad at all. And now a load of these skeleton archers in the back are really struggling as well, so that's great news, which means that this unit of depth guard is having far fewer problems. So they're trying to push out. These Ushabti did get summoned on top of them, and that did do a lot of work, but the armor piercing of the cheap zombie deckhands mob and the Lamprey's Revenge managed to sandwich them and take them out before they can do any lasting damage to the depth guard that now have very little firing at them, except some crumbling archers, and they're back into a fight that they can win easily. The hunger will heal them through any damage they take from the skeleton warriors quite happily, so they can just keep killing. So there we go, 209 kills they're on now, and suddenly a huge surge of zombies able to push in because the front line has buckled. And the back line is still in disarray. Look how many units are stuck back here, just trying to deal with essentially three guys. It's Noctilus and 2 Morngulls. That's pretty much all that is back here, but most of the Tomb King's army is trying to deal with it. And yet they're still not getting good shots off with any of these Ushabti. This unit is crumbling. That's the one that took damage initially from the cannon fire. But yeah, they're crumbling. They're not going to be hanging out for too much longer. These Ushabti have lost a couple models. The Chosen of the Gods have lost a couple. Actually, wait, no, I think 9 is the max. Okay, Chosen of the Gods are doing fine right now, which is actually a bit of a pity, because they're the ones that are going to hurt the depth guard the most. But they're not shooting the depth guard, they're trying to deal with Lamprey's Revenge, which are also another bit of a problem, but Lamprey's Revenge aren't going to do so well against the Tomb Guard with Halberds. The Halberds will do some pretty good work to them. But you can see an Invocation to Heck is buying them a lot of time. The Lamprey's Revenge are going to stay alive, which means that any Ushabti that are trying to single them out are going to have to be doing that for longer, and that means that the depth guard can just chop through more enemies. They can just keep chopping through things. 255 kills right now? Yeah, they're just going to keep going. They're going to keep going. And so the more time is wasted shooting at Lamprey's Revenge, the better. So that's pretty great. Morgul's still causing a problem. One of the Morguls did crumble, unfortunately, but there's still one left, and Noctilus is still in the fight. So it's all good. These depth guard, 267 kills now. Lamprey's Revenge, they are crumbling. They are definitely struggling against the Tomb Guard with Halberds here. So that's a pity. They're trying to push in into the rest of the fight just to support what else is here, and that's not a bad idea, you know. Just let these Tomb Guard get stuck on these zombies for a while, or have to pass through these other zombies, because it's just not cost effective for them. And here you can see the Ushabti still just getting attacked here. They just haven't been able to shut down these Mongol haunters, which means that the Ushabti haven't been able to set up yet, which is insane. They've just been constantly harassed. Here, Depth Guard, 290 kills now, so that's still ticking up. Another Spirit Leech was used on Count Noctilus, though, I believe, and it looks like another Wraith Storm is going to try and help punch through this infantry, but I don't think that was totally worthwhile. I don't think that was worthwhile to do. It doesn't do a huge amount of damage to, you know, big groups of infantry like that. Use it on Arcan, you know, while he's bogged down here, or use it on the Ushabti. It's going to do some good work to them. I mean, one's crumbling already, the other one, leadership is pretty low. Here you can see the zombie pirate deckhand mob with polearms are being forced through, but they keep getting caught on these other units. But if they could get on the Ushabti, that would bog them down for a long time. It'd be a real nuisance. But Arcan, King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, they're all trying to deal with this Mongol. If they can deal with this Mongol, and this line can hold out a little bit longer, the Ushabti can just start firing at will into this group and get crazy good value. It looks like Lamprey's Revenge finally gone. Finally gone. So that's a real pity. These halberds have been too much for them, but there's too much in here fighting the halberds. They're not going to hold out. If they can't get rid of this Mongol and start getting the Chosen of the Gods firing into this blob, I mean, this is so juicy. I mean, look at this. Any shots into any of this would get a lot of kills, and they'd kill very valuable things in the depth guard. And once the depth guard are dealt with, none of these zombies are going to be able to compete with, you know, King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. And Arcan does still have a summon left, I believe. He will still have summons. He's been in combat for a long time, regenerating those. So Mongol Haunter, still getting chased down. He is definitely suffering. Arcan isn't the best thing for dealing with something like a Mongol Haunter, but then the Mongol Haunter isn't the best thing at dealing with Arcan, so, you know, it's fairly even trade. But it's going to be swung in the favour of the Tomb Kings, thanks to King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. So they're getting on top of them. And Chosen of the Gods, their leadership is really, really low right now. It wouldn't take much to get them to crumble. But if you can get rid of that Mongol Haunter, you can start firing at this. But look at this! So few halberds are left that all of the zombies are just charging forwards. Now this was a beautiful move by Arcan to summon the skeletons in the way. This is going to hold all this stuff at bay for a long time. But of course the depth guard, they're just going to keep healing as they're fighting this stuff. They are near their healing cap though, finally. Which you'd expect. They're on 400 kills now, which is sort of obscene. So yeah, you'd like to think they're nearing the healing cap now. So here you can see, Chosen of the Gods. Too late for them. It's too late. They're crumbling. They're crumbling. The Mongol has been able to get them to crumble. And with these guys crumbling, there is nothing to stop the depth guard, apart from Arcan, who will have to run in here and use his chariot to get rid of them. But with the mass of all of these deckhands mob, it's very difficult to push Arcan through a group like this. So you can see he's charging in, and basically immediately stops. He's just immediately stopped, which is really bad. Really bad. Noctilus is chasing with his anti-large. If Arcan can't move quickly, he's going to take a lot of damage from that. Luckily, though, for the Tomb Kings, some of the leadership is starting to go for some of these units. These Skeleton Warriors are holding out for a while, but 428 kills now for the Depth Guard. They are still going. They are still going. And here, one of the units of polearms, very cleverly, is just being sent to bog down Arcan. He's not going to be able to move properly through these, which means he won't be able to get good charges on the Depth Guard, which means they're going to keep fighting. I mean, leadership is super low for them now. They have taken a lot of damage, and they are finally crumbling. But you still need to kill him in a hurry. They'll still be able to get a lot of kills while crumbling, you know, on these Skeleton Warriors. I mean, here, Arcan needs to just get in here, deal as much damage to these guys as possible. Look at that, Invocation Heck, and they've steadied again. You just need to get in here, make sure these guys will go for good, knowing full well that the Skeleton Warriors and King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion can get rid of this trash. And yeah, Count Noctilus is still here, but if you can cycle charge him with Arcan, you'll do alright. But unfortunately, the balance of power just slips too much, because those Depth Guard are too healthy, and there's almost nothing left. So, Pyrrhic Victory. Really interesting build from Skully here. I really like this. And when I first saw it, I didn't think it was going to work. I really didn't think it was going to work. I didn't see the battlefield at first. I saw the units that were going to be used, and I thought, you know, comparing these two, I just thought, no, there's not enough zombies, right? They're going to get completely surrounded by these guys. The Mongol Haunters are just going to get killed by spears, and there's too many Ushabti. The Ushabti will just be able to melt the Depth Guard in seconds, and I just don't think the cannons will be able to destroy them quick enough, because, to be honest, the cannons aren't going to be much of a threat. You know, they're only really a threat to the Ushabti, and I suppose Arcan, but given all the carrying, I knew they weren't going to stay in the fight for too long. I think what would have been good here, one slight change by Skully, is if he'd used the Lamprey's Revenge to protect the carronades. Right, so the carronades, they were sat there, Carrion got on top of them, and they were never going to get out of that fight, even with the polearms trying to help. The Carrion have, the carronades just have no leadership. They crumble so fast, so you've got to wipe out whatever's on top of them very quickly. So if Noctilus and Lamprey's Revenge just charged in from either side, I think he could have wiped out the Carrion very quickly, and the Ushabti would have been even more screwed, because the cannons would have stayed online. And I think that would have been a real problem for the Tomb Kings, because there would have been no way these Ushabti could have competed with everything. You know, they were the one shot at killing the Depth Guard, or else the Depth Guard were just going to kill everything. I mean, look at this, 455 kills, and the one that did get focused down, though not particularly well, still managed to get 234 kills. They can just kill that Tomb King's infantry so fast. I mean, sure, you know, Tomb Guard are going to hold out a little bit better, but when you're against Vampire Coast, you want to go super wide. You can't afford to just have a super elite front line, because it's just going to get shot to bits. So that makes it very difficult. Also, it's quite a risk bringing something that's very good sort of AP and anti-infantry, something like you know, a War Sphinx or Tomb Scorpions. That can be really risky too, because if there's just a ton of guns, they're just going to get shot down before they can really get value, you know? You just aren't quite sure what the Vampire Coast are going to do. But this was definitely a curveball. You sort of expect a load of handguns, you know, just cheap armor-piercing units dotted around that can take out those expensive units, which he did avoid. You know, the only expensive units were the Ushabti hanging out at the back. But he had ways to just, I guess, not deal with them so much as just bother them so they became useless. You know, the Mongols did a fine job of that. So I thought it was all really interesting. This is a very interesting fight. So Skully, thanks for sending this one in. And guys, if you enjoyed this, then you should leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. Yes, all the things. So guys, yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.